Hey beautiful people, welcome back to yet another podcast. My name's Sureet and this is Stevie K. We are husband and wife. We've been married for 24 years and we've jumped on the podcast vibe thing, whatever you want to call it, because we have so many questions asked and talking about questions. You had one asked the other day, didn't you?
Yeah. This is what we're doing now. We're just basically asking questions or listen to questions that people are asking us and seeing if we can answer them on here. One of them was, considering like Sureet said, been married for quite some time. What is the right time or what is the best time or best age to get married? That's the question. So from experience, considering we were,
So that's one of the ones that stuck out to you. Yeah. There's so many questions we get asked and sometimes they just go over your head. You can't remember them all or, sometimes they all kind of entwine into one.
Mm-hmm. Best age that you think?
For me, if you'd asked me this many years ago, I'd be adamant in saying, well, I was, 19. There's nothing wrong with getting married at 19. Think that was a total different me before. But you ask me now, so much has changed. My thoughts, there's 19 is absolutely ridiculous age to get married at. Absolutely ridiculous. Would I change or go back in time to change things? There's some things I would have liked to have done, but I'm happy with where things are. But I think definitely it's far too young to get married. I think anything below 28 is far too young for me. Okay. That's how I feel about now. Even 25, I feel like it's still very young. Okay. 28, more or less coming on to your 30s, I believe is probably the best time to think about marriage, because I feel like if you've got that phase of your life out of you, where you're experimenting. I'm not saying experimenting in the ways you're probably thinking, just like in loads of things in life, you're enjoying life, you're doing things, and
finding yourself.
Finding yourself as well, your career path, whatever it will, is. And I feel like that people need to do that before they move on and settle and think, this is it, now I know. Like, I've done it. I want to build on family, that's next. And you know what? Nothing else really matters. Priorities are just going to be husband and I and the kids. If I miss out on X, Y, and Z, it doesn't really matter because I've enjoyed life. I'm not saying that you can't gain that back, but for me, it's about 28. What about you?
I think it's more now, like you said it. I think before I would have gone, it was great, like getting married early, having our children early. You felt energetic. You felt like, you're taking them to school. You could play around still with them because you feel, young, healthy, quick, and all that. And not only that, you're still working, you're still doing things, but straight away you're doing it all together. So and it was that because we had our son sort of like, our daughters were all born together, all three of them, and then it was like when they were around about 11, 12, 13 kind of thing, that kind of age, that's when we had our son. So it was a big gap, and you could already feel, even though being in the police force, I'm quite fit and quite healthy, and so are you, you can tell the difference between having them in your 20s, our daughters in our 20s, early 20s, and then having our son in our early 30s. And considering we're still in our early 30s, and like I said, go to a gym, eat healthy and all that, it felt, and there's only him, just the one, but it just, from us, our own feeling, it just felt like a bit like, oh God, it felt so much easier.
That's so
it's so
true.
much energy we had then.
There is good points and there is bad points.
And I think, what I was going to say, with me, it's more since our daughters now, our eldest is 22, and then we've got a 21-year-old, and our other daughter's going to be 19. It's seeing them, and we're still very much looking at them and going, the kids.
Yeah.
And we see that they're doing, and only now we're going, damn, we were actually married. Yeah. We were married at that age where they are still exploring life, going out and about, traveling, doing things, and you still look at them and you're going, they got still a lot to do. I'm not, you know what I mean? The smart, very smart kids, very independent kids compared to what we were at that time. So I'm not putting them down, but we're still looking at them going, they're still kids.
Yeah.
You know, and they're in their 20s, like as in, like I said, they're mature, but the children, and that's how I see them. I'm going, damn, we were kids.
You know what?
You know?
So there's good parts of there is good in it, like having the kids young. He's right. So having the girls, I found it a piece of cake. And I know there's women out there who have one child. I had 3 of them. So I haven't got family. I haven't got anything. We've moved home, doing things by myself, you know. And I had the energy. I'd cook, clean, play with them, entertain them. I loved it. Then having Veed, again, like he's just said, so many years later, and having them, and they helped me out with, you know, having him at times. Or he was an easy baby, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. He didn't get up at night, and he wasn't hard work at all. But my
golden child.
he really was. So my body was not the same throughout my pregnancy. I was so much more fatigued, tired, you know, mood swings everywhere, and very emotional when I was with him, wasn't I?
Still get them now. Joking. Ooh, he looks good, kill.
Mood swings, emotional. But I don't think I was like that with the girls. I was more like, not mood swings, but I was very emotional when I was pregnant with him. So the changes in the body, you know, definitely that's one thing that you think. So there is good. So having the children young, and I was there with them constantly. Even now, like through the 30s, I didn't do as much as I did with him that I did with them, and I had all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I didn't do anything. Mummy moaning, everything. I still loved it, missed it at times. That side of it, like you do, there is a different. But you know what it is, like C just pointed out, seeing our kids, and we're like, they're so young. I think we're at that. That's been a bit for me. I'm not talking on your behalf. For me, it's been a bit painful at times to see that, because I see them still like children, regardless. I'm being 20, they still need mom at times. They still need dad, you know, and you know they can have their little down days. I don't know what they're feeling or whatever's going on. I remember being just that as well. You know what I mean? Having those days, and I'm that age, and I look at them thinking, you know, they still need mom. They need a hug. They need some comfort. They need some support, encouragement, and not having that. Our parents, that generation, to them, being in your 18 onwards, that's it, time for them to get married. They didn't look at us like, oh, Sardiniania, you know, not. It wasn't like they, and it upsets me because it is far too young. And I know it was different for us, obviously, the circumstances and stuff like that. Would we have?
Yeah, because we weren't forced by them to get married.
We weren't forced by them, but my parents wanted to get me married at
18.
Yeah,
yours did.
And when I see my girls, it's only now, like I said, it's upsetting because they're at that age that I would have got married or I just had children. I'm like, shit, I remember how hard it used to be, and I didn't have a mom I could turn to. I know it's not going back onto me, but and you don't see that side of you back. I've never had to look back at that, being that age, and how I must have felt, or what. Clearly I've been through it, but I didn't have to feel it until I see them and seeing how much, you know, they're still a child.
Yeah, and I was going to say exactly what you like basically saying. The reason why I agree with Sureet, there's the good things. It's like now we look at our kids and we're going, oh my God, they're in their 20s and we can still do stuff. You know what? It just feels, again, that now they're living their lives and they're doing things that they want to do. So it's great in that sense. Oh God, we're going to be probably selling that now, you know, in the way that we're talking. Because they're now independent enough. They're at university. Casey's also going in September. So we only got Veed and like to look after. So technically it's like going to have one kid unless when they come and go. And it feels like that. But like Sureet said, we didn't have people sort of like helping as much as we would have. But at the same time, we have had siblings who are younger than us, nieces and nephews that are younger than us. It wasn't like we didn't know how to look after kids or, you know, children. But at the same time, I think what we did was being parents and getting married very early. There were so many things that we still didn't understand ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? I roughly knew what I wanted to do, but then I decided not to pursue that because I felt like I had responsibility because I chose to get married. So I didn't even look at that because I wanted to pursue media, filmmaking and all that kind of stuff.
Where you are now?
Yeah, it's gone full circle, but at that time, that's all I wanted to do, and I wouldn't have minded travelling around just to do it. But as soon as I got married, I went, no, you know what? I need to find a stable job and be responsible, because that's how I felt a role of a father should be. You took the role of the mum. Of my job is like, you know, I'm doing that. And it wasn't because people told us. It's just that, and not only that, like, sorry, you mentioned earlier, like our parents and everyone probably would have got married at 18, 19 and find nothing wrong. But it would have been all their cousins, siblings, everyone that they knew would have been married at that age. But at that time, back then, they all, like now, when everyone came to the UK, they all came together and they all helped each other get the home, look after each other's kids whilst someone else was working. They were at each other's houses. So it was like a community of helping each other grow. Whereas when we got married, considering this age, our friends weren't getting married. Our friends, you know, and our siblings weren't either getting married or, you know, were way older and they were already living their life. It wasn't the same that I'll have your kids, you'll have mine, and this, that, and the other, and we'll help each other. We'll help each other get houses. It was more or less like every man for themselves.
Yeah.
And so it was more or less we had to put ourselves aside, what we wanted to do, what we would like, and we're more or less going, what does a husband do, or what does a wife do? Well, we actually didn't even do that. It was just like, what does a dad do and what does a mum do? And we became parents. So we got married, and straight away, that's how it became. How do we become a good father and a good mother? And again, like I said, I've enjoyed everything, but way later when the kids are slightly older, it's like now you're looking at it and you're going, well, who am I? But you know, there's so many things I could have done, or all these things that I thought I was doing right weren't actually, you know, I needed to do, kind of thing. But it was like learning as you go. So we wouldn't want our kids to go through that.
Also, like looking at them, you know, you wouldn't have to think about you, like you don't, but because of that, like I was saying, they're that age now. You're looking in like, still see them having their little, you know, outbursts and stuff. I was at that age, and I don't want my daughter to have come home and be saying, "Mom, I'm pregnant," or "Mom, I want to be married." Like I really don't want to, because I want them to be living their lives. And I'm glad that they have us, because we didn't have that encouragement, we didn't have that support. It was like, "Bya karo, that's it." In an Indian household back then, you know what, fair play to the parents back then. If there was 1 in a million that did say, no, our daughters are just like our sons. We want them to have a career, not to rely on a man, whatever else. Not just, you know what, when they're ready, not to be forced to get married at 18.
So they're 17. Independent enough to look after themselves, but also,
I didn't know anyone back then who did that. It was a 17 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ 18 ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ, you know what, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਡਰ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ. So that's kind of nonsense.
You do know we've got English listeners as well, so
yeah, well, just that's what it was. And for me, I look at them thinking,
basically what she said was 17 or 18 years old, so just in case, you know what I mean,
they've turned that age, fears, oh my god, what's going to happen, you know, blah blah blah. And it is the age that you know, kids go off to college and they see a different world, they you know, and lives. I know, remember me, I didn't turn into a rebel at 17, 16. I just wanted to do what other people were doing. And to parents, it's like, oh god, Flanida, she's obviously meeting people out there and she's getting bad reputation. Just before something happens, let's quickly get her married. No, I'm just staying out an hour longer, or I'm just chilling with friends, or I've got friends who are guys, or even if I have got a boyfriend, what the hell, it's just life, isn't it? To them, it's like, get them married 17, 16, before they even hit college or anything like that. So looking at them, the girls now, I didn't get that, so I'm glad. Well, you're a guy and you ain't going to get that. And that's why I say enough respect to the parents who were back then who didn't do that with children.
So what age did
like
you
I said, it would be 28. I see my girls and I'm like saying, I want them to...
Because I feel like by that time, you're mature enough. Like, you got your education out the way if you want to study. I'm not saying that you have to study, but if you're studying, then you got your education out the way.
Yeah.
You've travelled around to the places that you want to.
Exactly.
You've looked after yourself, or you learned to look after yourself.
Yeah.
You've learned to understand who you are, what makes you happy. Not straight away, like, you know, it was more or less like in our early 20s, we got together and it was like, okay, so what makes my wife happy? Or what would make my husband happy? Or what would make our children happy? And so you go to the trips that, you know, because you got to take your kids with you, or to eat to the places with your children.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that, you know, we're not happy going in that path and we've chose that path. But you start looking at how to look after every single other person individually that are in your life. And then you more or less put yourself aside. Then later on, when your kids are grown, and they're doing their own thing, all of a sudden you look at yourself and you're going, hey, I haven't done this or I haven't done that. I don't even know who I am or what I want to do, and or I was doing things that I haven't enjoyed doing.
And if you ask my kids, when I've had sit downs and we've had one-to-ones or we've had a fallout, because we do, us girls, we're on and off with each other. We can get in each other's ways, under each other's toes. When we're just having chit chats and they're a bit lost in life, I'm just trying to talk to them. It is just that the first thing I ever say to them, I just want you to find yourselves. And I think I wish our parents did that, like find yourselves. I mean, for us, again, circumstances are so different, and also I've also read so many times, like, you see now, don't get into a relationship or don't marry and settle down unless you've figured that that's what it is, because childhood trauma, whatever it is, on both sides, like, if you've coming from a broken families, we both have, families that have had all sorts going on together, and like in our situation, blocking it all out all these years, just getting on with life, doing what I felt like wanted to do, be a mum, and you again taking on responsibilities. It isn't, so it's so nice for the kids now to see that, like, if there is something you're going through, it does affect, so work on you first, build on you, your career, your mental health, find you. That is a must. Whatever has affected you or has, you're lucky that it's out there, that information's out there. Do that and then move on. But again, 28, I really wish we're on.
And then even that, like now, how I would say is this: if you were to meet someone, and I'm not saying you can't meet anyone earlier, it's just the marriage thing that I'm going on. For me, I would say, if you meet someone at the age of 22, 23, fair enough. But like Sureet said, I'd probably say get married late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
So you've got that, because like I said, you find yourself, but also what you enjoy. You do the things that you like. You learn the things that you don't like. So when you bring yourself to the table, kind of thing, you both individually know yourselves, and then now you learn about each other. And then at the same time you sort of learn to compromise and understand. There might be things that you haven't done, but now not only that, there might be things that you didn't like, but doing that with your partner and someone that you might find that it actually feels different, it's better, or it's, or again, you might not like it, or you might go, it's not for us, whatever it might be, but now you understand yourself. But also, what I mean is, you could be dating earlier, so I'm not saying, oh God, you can't be together with someone. So you could be together for 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, it doesn't matter. But it's just saying that in the late 20s, you can't look back and go, God, you know what, I wish I did this, or I wish I had followed that career, or done this or done that. That you didn't, regret later, kind of thing. Yeah. It's like that. I, at a point, was like I became a police officer, and I wasn't enjoying it, I wasn't happy, but I kept on saying to myself, I've got to provide, I've got to look after my family.
There was that, and I really believe that you did that as well for your parents, for them to be proud of you. Yeah, because I think it was like one time with you just wanted your dad to look at you and think, wow, my son.
Feel value kind of thing. Yeah, that was part and parcel of it. And not only that, it was a role that I was doing. I was like going, if I leave that and I go somewhere, because you hear all of them, the negative stories, that, it's a secure job.
Yeah.
And I've got a family of 6 of us to support. So, but only, again, having our children and realising, trying to help them become independent, pursue their dreams, and encouraging them. And they ended up encouraging us.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, Sureet's encouraging me as well. So it wasn't just me. I actually was like, no, I can't, I shouldn't, because I should stick to what I'm doing, even though I wasn't happy. And I think it was, even though they were all encouraging me, got to a point where it just happened because of them. They said something which triggered, ended up doing something with Sureet helping me. And then all of a sudden, everyone's sort of life changed. And it was the, the point that I was trying to make, finding something that actually who I was, because it's like, even though I knew who I was and what I enjoyed, it's like you put it aside, because like any parent, you make those sacrifices as you feel, you see it as a sacrifice, like, you put your things aside, it doesn't matter. This is what matters, kind of thing. And not only that, there's no guarantee this is going to work.
I think that also comes into place as well, like age. You think, oh my God, at this age, do you really, you know what I mean, as well? It's
but when you're younger and you're living with your parents, or even if you're living by yourself, you don't mind taking those risks, because at the end of the day, I find, when you see, the millenniums and there are all these people turning around and go, I left my 9 to 5 and my corporate job and I took this. Majority of them are single or independent, or they rely on their parents. They're not married with children. So if you can imagine, it's okay to do it when you feel that, if I was to sink in doing what I was doing, it's me who's going down. But when you are a parent and a husband or a wife, you're going, if I'm going down, I'm taking everyone else with me. So it's more scary.
It's true. So with our generation of people like who got married at a young age, I don't know if it was the same for everyone, probably did have family around. For us, it wasn't. It was like how you said earlier, they had communities to rely on. Even if one did lose a job, you couldn't do that. With us two, there was no chance of doing it at all. Like, you could not leave your job regardless of how stressed or how much you hated it. Not stressed. Unhappy you were with it. Because there's nobody to rely on.
Because if then I pursued the career that I wanted to do and it didn't work out, then I would have to find something else that might have also been unhappy but probably paid a lot less and not so secure. So it was that kind of thing.
I think our parents' generation they were blessed that they had people in their lives. They all had each other, because I don't think they could have. They were all adamant on working, making money, which I understand they had to. They had to raise us. They didn't have that, they didn't have time for us ever to sit down and actually be interested in what we do or support us in any way. It was just how they said, no, it was more like, they basically they'll grow up just like this. They have each other to entertain themselves. And it was hard that they can't, you can't take that away. I feel like with us not having anyone, it has been a lot harder than them. I know their generation before that came, they had to settle up, and that was definitely difficult because it's a whole new thing, having to settle into new place, communities, making new communities. But our parents' generation could have done I don't know, I just feel like they had it easy. They had each other, they had people to rely on.
I think with our circumstance now, I'm doing what I love and I enjoy, and like I said, it was a kick up the backside from our own kids who are grown up and mature enough to say, well, how come you're not pursuing your career as in your dream and doing the things that you enjoy? And again, people can try it even later. It doesn't mean that it guarantees that it's going to be successful and do well. I'm just so grateful that things are working the way that we wanted it to, and it just happened. And we work hard for it. Trust me, it's not easy, regardless of what people think. It's not just, but we do our best, and we are happy doing this. And now our kids are doing their own thing. So it's given us that other incentive. It's not like looking and going, okay, now, I'm still doing that job that I didn't want to do, even though my kids have moved on, and now I'm like, oh God, I'm unhappy with my life. It's like I'm doing something that I like. But again, like I said, if you're in your 20s, I do feel like, dating, fine, great. Find yourself. And, the thing about the dating as well is, when you're both living in different places and you're dating, at the end of the day, you're not together 24/7, are you? You can still got time to yourself to think of, is this right? Is this wrong? What makes a good partner, boyfriend, girlfriend? And, you get to know that, what, this worked, this didn't, this what made her happy, this what made him happy, and this what makes me happy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But when you are together as like married couple, you move in, you do start to take each other for granted a bit, because you start going, okay, I've got to make other people happy. Plus you're in this space so I think the more time that you have to understand and learn about yourself, but also learn about the other, it's great. And then get married when you're ready. So like I said, late 20s, early 30s, and then decide when you want to have kids, when it's the right time for you. Again, with the kids situation, I think that's a total different thing. That could go on, when is the right time.
People moving in together, I think it's lovely before actually getting married. You get to know each other properly.
Yeah.
You're seeing each other from morning to night. Your different mood swings or whatever you're like. Because
you're not just turning up.
Yeah, which is what you do when you're dating. You turn up and you're in a happy mood. Even if you got away from family that you've just been stressed out, or you've had work, whatever. You're going away, you're gonna have time and not think about whatever. But here you're living together now. You're seeing each other. There's gonna be things that you're not gonna be happy with, or the contribution. If you both have got to be really trying to make it. But what I find is, even though people do that, they're happy to move in. There's been a lot of that could be together a lot longer before moving in, and they decide to just go their own ways because they just can't take it. No, they're seeing them all day long, No, that's what it's like though after marriage anyway. You've got to keep working on it. You can't
Yeah.
just expect. You're together all the time, of you're seeing parts of that person you've never seen before. You're just seeing that person who showed up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they don't want to work on it. They're just, I can't, next person. Even after like moving in. And the amount of breakups during lockdown because people decided to move in together and then went their own ways we know of. And you just, I don't know, I don't feel like people try as much as our generation or before. They just don't. They just kind of give up on relationships straight away after moving in.
There's more variety out there, isn't it? People got social media and they just see everyone happy and they just basically
just because, oh yeah, I got to know, I don't like this, his socks lie around the house, and he's like, oh my God, just dump stuff like that.
Little, like it's like
There's
going on a holiday and it's like going on a holiday and you see a little dirt in that little corner of that window that you're not going to even go near, and you go, hey, I need to write a complaint about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you like,
they expect that
nothing, something major.
They expect that perfect guy, like the one they see who
What do you
shows
say,
up
guy, for?
every day.
Women,
Or woman
perfect
who shows up every day, but now you're seeing her in the morning without her makeup and she just wants time to herself.
Did you see, after 24 years you do that and she still
I don't find your humour funny.
You go. See, that's what you would have learned.
That would have left me. I would have left him if we were just moved in together. So you know what, God works in mysterious ways. We were meant to be.
Thank you, God.
Because if we had moved in together and we hadn't got married,
what are you thinking?
I think I would have left you just after like the things that you eat when you're on your diet and the smells you leave around, mate. I just don't want to be around you. He's like, okay, it's gone too bit far today. But it is the case. No, I'm only joking. This is what I mean. Little things that get irritating that people move in. Go on, give a list of mine. No, let's be honest. No. Because it's fun. We spoke
Anyway, yeah, but it wasn't about that. It was, I just feel like that. And I think having children is a total different subject. So, when is the right time for that? So, you can sum it up. I mean, it would probably be a different podcast because we can go on why, what age we think. But I believe...
think a different podcast, definitely, though. One thing is, I think past 40, 35, I think 35, 36, 40 onwards, no, there's no chance of, like...
Like now, I mean, it's...
Marriage, fine, but, like, children...
Yeah, I don't know. It's like now I look at myself. I know people say, but you've got 4 kids. But I just like going, I wouldn't want a child now.
No, like you think to yourself, going back to having Vita.
And so
30.
can you imagine if I had got married at 40 and then thinking about having a kid? Because I just like feel, I still love doing what I do and I still find myself quite active. But I'm just like...
It's a main thing.
Like I'm going to be 50-something by the time my kid goes to 58 or 60 by the time my kid goes to university. And don't want to be that guy.
It's those things. And also, like you said, as being active in your body, if mine at 30, I was feeling, oh my God, this is so much more for me. And it's, again, for a fact, we come to a time in the day that you just want to zone out from everything. Can you imagine having kids at 40, crying at 24/7, morning, having to get up in the morning and stuff? Like, we want time out.
But then again, like you said, there might be people who turn around and say, look, we've enjoyed our 20s too, and we understood and learned about ourselves, or done our business, or started our career, and then we met our partner. So we got married in our late 30s. So we spent time together building our relationship, and and doing the stuff that we want to go on the holidays, buying a house, settling, get to know each other, and that kind of stuff. So then we felt that we were ready.
Yeah, I understand that. Just so there's
people who do that, and then they're going, now we felt that we have grown enough to understand and raise kids in the way that we want to. Which is again, it's good nice, because if you're a team, then not only are you working together, then you can do that.
Which is nice. My main factor there is the energy and being there, having to have that, what you would have done.
I'd say 35 then. You know what I mean? If that was good. But honestly, marriage-wise, late 20s, early 30s. That's to the person who asked the question, that's what I would say. So, enjoy life, but get to know you, because I just feel that it is to understand yourself first. Because then you can bring so much more to the person that you're with. And then you can work on understanding each other.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that with our experiences, that's exactly like the last fair few years.
We've been doing it now, I think. We've been more or less trying to... We were just
so absorbed in the kids and doing what we did.
I think in the past 3 to 4 years is more... I think that's where we sort of got lost, just in that sense of who are we individually? What do we want to do? Who do we want to become? And what were we like? And, you know, like, it just like felt like we just went into this character mode.
Yeah.
And then also,
No.
whilst we've been working ourselves, now it's come to the point where it's like, what about each other?
Yeah, and
sort of thing.
it's not as like we've had great role models to, you know, encourage and support you, because some people do have that.
Yeah.
Like, and they're happy.
And they're not perfect. No one's perfect. No one's relationship's perfect.
No.
Everyone's got their ups and downs and different things that, you know,
Yeah.
you can have financial issues, you can have childhood issues, you could have like trauma, you can have, you know, just relationship, not understanding, not knowing. There could be so many different reasons, you know, illnesses and, you know, health and all that. But it's just having sometimes people that you can just look at and be inspired by and saying, you know what, they've sort of figured it out, or they've made things better from where they were.
We've had to do that ourselves, and also like with our kids, you were mentioning, if it wasn't for them to say what they did, we wouldn't have any. I think that going back to age again, the question that was asked, it is for us. It is that it's like, find yourselves first, and that's what parents should do to their children. It's what I say to my kids all the time and my girls. You know, find you, be happy with you, and that's what matters first. Create everything else. And then, see how it goes. Whereas we've had to...
Not only that you discover what you want as a partner.
Yeah.
You know, what your values and your beliefs are. And, you know, the person that you're attracting or you want to be around will have something at least similar. You understand.
Yeah.
Because if they don't bring that to the table, then you can already go...
So they have us. They have us as that support, and as us giving them advice, and, you know, where we were with things that we didn't have, we encourage, and, you know, we're there for them in that sense.
Learning from our mistakes.
Loads
of them.
Which is something, honestly, loads of them, which is something we didn't have, like, at all. So,
and then at the same time, we're trying to learn of, like, you know, we always kept on going how we didn't want to be, like, you know, like parents kind of thing, and, you know, maybe uncles, aunts. We don't want relationships like them, but we didn't like work and focus on what we did want. It's just that what we didn't want. So see.
So it's learning, and it's like that's it. That's what it is. I think we covered quite a lot of different things here, like age wise, and also
enjoy life, honestly. And like I said, I'm not saying from a place of regret. Love my wife, love that we've got through to where we are, but I'm sure not everyone does. Even some people are together for a couple of years, and depending on whatever age, just be happy with who you are, and then find someone who's willing to be happy with you, or who's happy in themselves as well. And then that's it. That's what life is. So, you know, it is all.
Do you know also that
someone you can have a journey and enjoy the journey
but
with.
Not everyone has got that. Like, not everyone has got that amazing. Like, we've got a lovely relationship.
And I honestly love our kids. So in that sense, I think we are blessed, and I'm grateful. But like I said, but when we look, I think it's more or less when I see my children, myself, I just more or less go in. You know what? Do things that I haven't done, or I wish I had done, or I wish I had done them differently. And you know what? Everything else will come in its own time.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. And our parents would have like, get married, have kids.
No, we're not like that. When they're ready, because I tell you, if they're not ready and they're not, you know, happy in themselves, they're not going to bring happiness to whoever they're with. And it's not fair, because then he's trying to find somebody who you think will make you happy or bring you joy. That should not be the case. Yeah. You should be happy with yourself and how you're living, and then hoping that that person is too. And then you know, share that together, build and grow together.
But yeah, that's exactly how it is. But I think on the next podcast, you know, what we could talk about is, you know, how we've had to learn the hard way. Because I'm sure there's so many couples who are probably at a similar age, who probably experienced the same thing. Either it was arranged marriage, or it was just like got married for certain circumstances, whatever. And how there's going to be people who just haven't still been able to connect and have gone through similar stuff, and things that really what we've had to really.
I used to be on the floors on my knees, and Sureet used to have a whip and go, do this. I was like, sorry, go on.
I think they know you too well. You can do what you like.
Ooh, you can say baby.
You can say what you like.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Different podcast.
Yeah, but I believe like that there is so much we could help and talk about in our experience, and how we've had to grow and learn by ourselves with the kids also. We've grown so much with the kids because they're open enough to speak to us and say, like Casey just the other day, she was just like, you two just don't have time together. I want you to have time to, and it's just sweet. That I think for her to realise that and know it's important.
And I'm not sure if many children do that. Like, I know we wouldn't have. I know when I was younger, I was like, there's no point me saying anything to my parents. I probably got like shouted at even if I did.
No, you wouldn't, would you?
You know what I mean? Like, what?
You just think they hated each other. I think my parents just hate. My parents just seem to hate each other. Why would you even want them in the same room? Jesus,
their love is like yelling and shouting. But our kids basically are saying, guys, you like ain't spending time. You're busy there. You're busy there. What's going on?
So yeah, we could talk about that if there's anyone out there who have struggled even now. They love their partner and are struggling to communicate or struggling because there's always reasons for it. And it's like we could talk about.
So let us know if there's anything regarding relationships, marriage, parenting, and these kind of things that you guys want us to discuss on our podcast, because that's what it is. Like I says, I think it's with ourselves. It's about where we were, the mistakes we made, how we've learned, we're still not there. Don't get us wrong. We're not fully where we want to be. This more or less, the past 4 to 5 years have been more to do with self-discovery, but still being around everyone doing what we have to do whilst trying to discover ourselves. But now we're working on the things that matter truly, which you do anyway, but you know what I mean? Like there's things that you neglected and you're like thinking it needs work.
Yeah.
So, but it's also understanding how we got to make that work. So it's those kind of things.
So that's the podcast for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it and we would love to see you on the next one.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye.